Hello, good afternoon from England. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, you're audible, but you are not visible. Yes, sir, you're visible now.
I thought 1 o'clock is quarter to one now. We are going at once. Is it Dr. Trivedi is also on the line?
Yeah, I think, yeah, I mean, there is some small issues, so with the timings, but I think, sir, you can start because the floor is ours. So I think we can start. I mean, while I'll just coordinate with Dr. Nikun, sir, as well.
Okay, okay. So we are talking about the neuralgia today. Neuralgia is a type of the stabbing and burning pain and often severe pain due to an irritated or damaged nerve. The nerve may be anywhere in the body, and the damage may be caused by several things, including aging, disease such as diabetes or multiple sclerosis. The symptoms of neuralgias are episodes of extreme shooting or stabbing pain that follows the path of a nerve, especially damaged nerve or irritated nerve. Other symptoms are pressing and knocking or burning pains. Generally, these are associated with the tingling and numbness of the part. And we also see the weakness of the muscles, loss of muscles mass or atrophy, and involuntary muscle twitching or cramping. So we have to see what are the symptoms in each case. We cannot generalize all the cases with one remedy or two remedy. We have to go through the whole case study, take the characteristic symptom, and find a symptom. If you are not taking the whole case properly, you will be not able to find a proper remedy. I go for first case. There was a gentleman, about 29-year-old. He had the pain in the left side of the face, and all the symptoms were pointing out to spigelia. So I gave spigelia 203 doses at 10 minutes interval, and then asked him to report after 2 days, 3 days. There was a miraculous result of the spigelia 200. The gentleman was suffering since long, and in spite of the best treatment and analgesic tablets, etc., there was no relief. He came back and asked for the more medicine. So, what we do at this stage when somebody is getting better, we should not repeat the same medicine. Generally, our friends and homeopaths they give another doses of the same medicine. This is wrong. When there is a secondary action happening in the body, we should not repeat the same remedy. So I gave him Seclac sugar of milk doses to continue for 5 days and asked him to report me after 5 days. After 4 days, he said, "Should I continue? I'm feeling a lot better. There is no pain. I'm nearly normal." I said, "How much you feeling better?" He said, "About 95% to 99%." I said, don't take any medicine. Just report me after 3 4 days. And that was a miraculous result by the spigelia 200 potency. So I will tell you about this pain. Trigeminal neuralgia is generally caused by the compression of the trigeminal nerve. This is the nerve inside the skull that transmits sensation of pain and touch from your face, teeth, and mouth to your brain. It is generally compression of trigeminal nerve caused by the nearly blood vessel pressing or part of the nerve inside the skull. The trigeminal neuralgia can also happen when the trigeminal nerve is damaged by another medical condition such as multiple sclerosis or tumor. The pains are worse by touching of the face, such as washing, eating, or brushing the teeth, and also triggered by wind or air conditioning. If you are in the very cold area, you will feel the pain. And let me open my more notes because I was just planning for 1 o'clock. I think I give you the right information rather than keep telling you stories. So just give me a moment. The problem is this: we have to tell the truth, not a hypothetical stories. 1 second is here. Yes. So we have to relate neuralgias with homeopathy. Neuralgia is the stabbing, burning, and often severe pain due to an irritated or damaged nerve, as I told you. It can be anywhere in the body. And the symptoms are sudden episode of extreme shooting and stabbing pain that follows the path of a damaged or irritated nerve, which I told you. Now, the type of neuralgias are trigeminal neuralgia. This is involving a trigeminal nerve in the head, and it has the three branches of that send signal from the brain to face, mouth, teeth, and nose. The trigeminal nerve is connecting face, mouth, teeth, and nose. It falls into two subdivisions, type 1 and type 2. The type 1 causes a painful burning or electric shock-like sensation in part of the face. People with type 1 trigeminal neuralgia experience irregular episode that comes on suddenly. The pain is extremely suddenly. The duration of these episodes varies among people but can lead up to 2 minutes. According to the National Institute of Neurological Disorder and Stroke, the pain can be very severe. It is constant dull aching sensation on the face in type 2. The cause of the trigeminal neuralgia is unclear. However, pressure from an enlarged blood vessel can irritate or even damage the trigeminal nerve. Multiple sclerosis can give rise to trigeminal neuralgia and disorder that causes inflammation that damage the myelin sheath surrounding the nerve fiber in the central nervous system. And there is another neuralgia called post-therapeutic neuralgia. I'll switch off my phone. Come on. They don't know what's happening here. So post-therapeutic, oh my God, come on.
That's okay, sir. I think we came in early on the platform, so we are not done with the last minute
Problem
preparation.
is this, I was going to start 1 o'clock, it's still 5 to 1.
Yes. We were supposed to start
Okay.
at sharp
Now
1.
I switch off my phone, doesn't matter. According to the Center of Disease Control and Prevention, this is the most common complaint of shingles, affecting about 10 to 13% of people who develop it. Post-therapeutic neuralgia. Shingle is a viral infection that causes blister and painful skin rash. The Varicella Zoster virus, which causes chickenpox, remains dormant in the nervous system and reactivates later in life, causing shingles. When the virus reactivates, it can cause inflammation of the nerve fibers. This inflammation can lead to permanent nerve damage that causes pain even after the infection subsides. Occipital neuralgia. This form of neuralgia affects the occipital nerve, which originates in the neck and sends signals to the back of the head. Occipital neuralgia is a throbbing or shooting pain that starts near the base of the skull and radiates around the scalp. Occipital neuralgia can flow to the back of the eyes. It has numerous potential causes, including sudden head movement, tense neck muscles, lesions or tumors of the back, inflamed blood vessels, infections, gout, diabetes, and neck injuries. Now I'm talking about the peripheral neuralgia. It's very important. During eating or swallowing, our potential symptoms of peripheral neuralgia are: this is due to the nerve damage of the principal peripheral nerve system. This includes all nerve fibers outside the brain and a spinal cord. Peripheral neuralgia can affect a single nerve or entire nerve group. Sustaining damage to the peripheral nervous system can affect nerve that control muscle movement, transmit sensory information, and regulate internal organs. Peripheral neuralgia can cause pain or numbness in the hand, feet, arm, legs, and other symptoms include involuntary muscles are twitching or cramping, loss of coordination, difficult performing complex motor tasks such as buttoning a shirt or tying shoelace, hypersensitive touch or temperature, excessive sweating, gastrointestinal problems, difficulty eating or swallowing, and difficulty in the speaking. What should we know more about the neuralgias? These are definitely shooting pain. It occurs due to the damage or irritated nerve that I told you. It can affect any part of the body and cause mild to severe pain. Certain medicines and surgical procedures can effectively treat neuralgia. But here I will be talking about the homeopathy. Severe neuralgias can interfere with the person's ability to perform everyday tasks and may impact your quality of life. Neuralgia may possibly cause including infection such as shingles, Lyme disease, or HIV, pressure on nerve from the bones, blood vessels, or tumors. Other medical conditions such as kidney disease or diabetes. This is very serious matter here. And aging. Type of neuralgia, I told you, healthcare professionals divide neuralgia into the categories depending on the areas of the body it affects. Then common types are trigeminal neuralgia, which I told you, and then post-therapeutic neuralgia, occipital neuralgia. Now, I tell you about especially peripheral neuralgia. The symptoms of peripheral neuralgia are involuntary muscle twitching or cramping, loss of coordination, difficulty performing complex motor tasks, as excessive sweating, gastrointestinal problems, difficulty eating or swallowing, and difficulty in speaking. Now, finally, I have got a very special case, which I remember long time ago. I had a patient with intercostal neuralgia. This happens on the left side of the chest. It is a nerve that sits behind the ribs, and doctors call this the intercostal muscle neuralgia. The contribution to intercostal neuralgia, such as injuries or spinal or surgical procedures that involve the chest, pressure on the nerves, shingles or other viral infections. Intercostal neuralgia causes sharp burning pain that affect the chest wall, upper abdomen, and upper back. Certain physical movements such as breathing, coughing, or laughing can worsen the pain. Additional symptoms includes tightness or pressure that wraps around the chest, tingling or numbness in the upper chest or back, muscle twitching, and loss of appetite. Finally, there's another condition that is causing the pain and neuralgia is called diabetic neuropathy. In most of the diabetic cases, the symptoms are most common and it can affect many people, and the rates of the peripheral neuropathy are now beginning to rise. Symptoms include loss of balance or numbness, tingling, and pain. The best way to prevent diabetic neuropathy is to bring blood sugar level to the normal or suitable range. Symptoms include, these are very distinct symptoms, include sudden episode of the extreme shooting or stabbing pain that follows the path of a damaged or irritated nerve, persistent aching and burning pain, tingling of numbness, muscle weakness, loss of muscle mass atrophy involving muscle twitching and cramping. So what are the outlook and takeaway for this neuralgia is, neuralgia cause pain that are very severe and maybe duration and severity may be varying according to the severity of the illness. As well as pain, neuralgia can cause numbness, muscle weakness, and hypersensitivity. If a person does not receive treatment, neuralgia can interfere with their ability to perform daily tasks. Now, the best part is we have got hundreds of remedies. Out of these, I will tell you few important remedies that can help treating neuralgias. And each remedy has got its own characteristic symptoms. The main remedies for neuralgias are aconite nap, Agaricus muscaris, Allium cepa, amyl nitrate, Arnica montana, Arsenic album, Belladonna, Berberis vulgaris, Cactus grandiformis, Cedron, chamomilla, chelidonium, china, cicuta virosa, clematis recta, coffea cruda, Collinsonia, Colocynthis, Crocus sativa, Crotalus har, Elaterium, Ferrum metallicum, Gelsemium, Glonine, Iris vers, Calmia latifolia, Magnesia carp, Magnesia fas, Miserium, Natramure, Nux vomica, Phytolacca, Platina, Plumbum, Podophyllum, Rhododendron, Rustox, Spigelia, Stenomate, Staphysagra, Terebinthina, Thuja, and Gingamet. So, what we have to see in each case, we must take the whole case to find a proper minimum. It's not only the pain we are depending on. A symptom, always I tell you, what is a symptom? Symptom is a expression of internal feeling of the body. A symptom is not complete unless it has got onset and modalities concomitant and characteristic feeling of that symptom. Onset, sensation, modalities, concomitants are very important. If you don't take everything, you will be failing to find out the right minimum. And when we find the right minimum, then we have to make the assessment what potency should we give and what are the precautions during the treatment. So in each case, we should not follow what happened in the previous case. We should take each case individually, taking the whole symptoms of that particular person, then finding out the remedy. So my views are, we should not carry on what we have done in the previous case. I take each and every case in the thorough head to toe, all the symptoms, mental symptom, physical symptom, character symptom, rare and peculiar symptoms, which lead to the remedy. Just like in arsenic album, most of the patients are chilly and they are restless, they are hopeless. It doesn't matter they are drinking a small quantity of water at short interval. Maybe there are no particular symptom, but rare and confirming symptoms lead to a remedy. Another case, chamomilla. The symptoms of mind are more important with the pain. In coffea cruda, sleeplessness very much marked. Colocynthis, better by warm, better by pressure. This remedy is very much close to the magnesia fas. Whereas magnesia fas patients are better by pressure as well, but they are more better by warmth. But in colocynthis, the symptoms are more better by pressure rather than warmth. So magnesia fas is for the people who feels better with the warm application. Colocynth symptoms are better by bending double or pressing. Another thing is, depending on particular, like one case where there was a patient was very lazy, dull, dizzy, drowsy, and he had the neuralgia. I gave gelsemium, very effective, because gelsemium is the remedy which is telling dullness, dizziness, drowsiness, sensitive to noise, don't want to do anything, very lazy. So gelsemium helped in that case as well. So we can't particularize one remedy for one condition. In one sciatica cases of the neuralgia, Rustox helped me with the definite symptoms of aggravation by the first motion, better by the continuous motion, and aggravation during the cloudy and damp weather. So we have to find out the remedy which is giving definite indications. Even one case I treated with the Nux vomica. It's very rare case where I found one medicine which is not generally seen in the neuralgia cases. The Nux vomica also have. It depends on the symptoms. You can't say this is a particularization. We have to have individuality in each case. And until we match the symptoms of the person with the remedy and give the right potency, it won't work. Sometimes we lose our confidence when we give the remedy, but the potency is not right. The remedy is right. So we change the remedy. here, this is the biggest mistake of homeopathy doctor. Then they find out a right remedy. They worked very hard. They found the remedy and they gave some medicine, the low potency. The remedy need to be given in the high potency rather than changing of the remedy. So once I find out one remedy and I see this remedy is prescribed in this case, when there is no response, then I make the judgment whether the remedy is right or whether we have to give the high potency. And in one case, there was a problem of getting desired results. The person was eating mints and chocolates in spite of telling, don't take anything raw onion, garlic, spice, mints, chocolates, and pickles. They don't listen. And they say, you never told us. I said, I told you. Now I am doing something else. I'm giving them in writing. I said, instructions of taking the medicine, you have to do this thing. Avoid food before and after. Take the medicine after cleaning the mouth properly. And avoid body spray, room spray, and essence, and all these things which are causing harm. So this is told by Dr. Henneman what are the obstacles to recovery and during the treatment. People generally don't follow these things. We are eating certain type of food which is also against homeopathy medicine. Too much of spices, too much of sour food is no good for homeopathy. Especially coffee is the worst enemy for homeopathy medicine. So if someone want to ask anything, I'm ready to answer, because after this, I have already taken 20 minutes and Dr. Nikunj Trivedi is ready with his special presentation. And I spoke to him this morning and he has prepared a really good presentation. So if Dr. Trivedi is ready, then he can continue rather than me repeating.
Sharma sir, actually, we joined this session a bit early, so we are fortunate enough with some extra 10 or 12 minutes. So we do have fair time for Dr. Nikun. So if at all you want to extend your talk, or if at all you want to enlighten us little more, you can. Or else, I think Dr. Nikun is ready. If you
Whenever
want
he's ready, you can bring him. I am going to tell you something more about this neuralgias. I have got something here on my desk, and it's a very important information which I will share with you, because neuralgia is not an easy job to treat. So if we go with the neuralgias, I can give you some more information, the very precise information rather than telling the stories. So for neuralgias, I always tell everyone, especially my students, their most important symptoms or diseases are only two. Forget the thousands of illnesses. One is pain, and another one is fever. If there is no pain, you can say, I can survive. If there's no fever, we don't care. The pain and fever are the two major conditions which doctors are fighting around the world. So for the pain, I tell you something. I am using biochemical medicines as well in some cases. When I'm not very clear or the patient is not telling everything what I want to know, then I use the biochemical medicine. There's no shame in telling. The biochemical medicines are very helpful in many cases. Especially, I tell you, Calcarea fas, Calcarea sulf, Ferrum fas, Calimure, Califas, Magnesia fas, Natramure, Natrum fas, and Silicious are very helpful. People sometimes don't use biochemic. I use biochemic where I find out we have to give them immediate relief. In one case, I treated a case of neuralgia with Califas, Magnesia fas, and Natrum sulf. Very, very effective in neuralgia cases, especially of the left lower limb. Left lower limb means from thigh to ankle. It was very painful. It's a neuralgic pain. And I also prescribe Nifilum remedy for that symptom. So there's no harm in giving the biochemical medicine to a person who is suffering with the pain. Our main mission is to give the relief to the person who is suffering. Homeopathy is our main science which we are using. But in case biochemical remedies are helping, there's no harm. Sometimes you don't have the medicine in stock. So I go for the biochemical medicine rather than giving them some silly mother tincture or something. So our main mission is to give the relief and take the case thoroughly, cross question again and again. If somebody, patient don't know what is the value of thirst, patient don't know what is the value of your desires and abundance. We have to find out these symptoms to find out a remedy, and matching a remedy with the symptoms will only give you a minimum. Patient don't know why we are asking all these things: what to eat, how you sleep, how you sit, how you walk, what is your favorite food, what how much you sweat, how many hours you sleep, how many times you go to the loo and toilet. They don't know these things. They think these are the absurd questions from the doctors. But for us to find out, there's no guarantee that Nux vomica only works in the case where there's a urgent and frequent desire for stool. I treated the similar case with the Merxol because the other symptoms are sweating and taste and other things were matching with the Merxol. So we have to find out the remedy which is exactly matching with the case. Otherwise, there will be no relief. And we should not practice without knowledge of organon. We must study organon again and again. Every time I study organon, I find something new. It doesn't matter that we are the master of one science, master of one subject. So I always suggest, please study organon, please study Materia Medica. Every time I go to Materia Medica, especially Boric Materia Medica, I find new symptoms. And I am very pleased that they worked so hard. Our doctors, I was surprised how big repertoire they made and how they gave each and every symptom the values and their grading. So we should not take it lightly. It's our job to give them proper treatment and relief. And no other science in the world can help like homeopathy if the homeopathy is used properly. Even the father of allopathy wrote in one article, what Hahnemann gave to the medical science, we never thought this will be that good and that elaborated. So the words from someone who is known as the father of allopathy is praising our Dr. Hahnemann. And 2 days back, yesterday was the full day of lot of speakers were there. I was most of the time on program and watching them. But I should say you should give more importance to homeopathic subject rather than allied subjects related to homeopathy. We are here to promote homeopathy as it is, as told by our master, Dr. Hahnemann. So my suggestion is we must continue something like this in future as well. Dr. Shaji Kujat and all your, staff, they worked very hard. 1 day, 2 day, 4 day, I organize a seminar for my college, and 2 day seminar is big work, and I'm surprised is going to 267 days, 268 days. And I thank all of you for helping Dr. Shaji Kujat and team. And I will expect more things like this in the future. And if anything happening in the London, I will invite all of you to come and join me in some special congress for homeopathy, where we will present best qualified and experienced homeopath. We don't want to waste your time. We don't want to give you the false information. We should give you the proper, right information. If one false information is there, it may cause problem to some patient a future of homeopathy. So I expect now Dr. Nikunj to come on the line and start his special program. If Dr.
Yes.
Nikunj is ready.
Yes, yes. Thank you very much, Dr. Sharma, sir. Yes, as you said, we should appreciate Dr. Shaji Kudiat. He is extensively working to collaborate all the homeopaths wild world, and he would not have done this without the immense support of his wide team. He's got a whole array of members, the backend team and the frontline workers. Everybody is together for this IFPS. And as said, yes, in future,
I have full support for him.
yeah,
Anything financially, manually, whatever he wants, because
yes,
I'm
the
very
whole
happy.
team is
I'm very
great.
happy.
Yes.
He did exceptional. I will give him a big trophy next time when he comes to London. Big
Yes, yes.
gold medal for him.
Yes, and the backend team as well. You know, they have
And
been
you as well,
working
you are
so
also helping. Dr. Padma, you are also helping. Special prize
it's
for
a
you.
small effort. You know, if you look at the larger scale, there are a whole lot of people around in the IFPH team who's working. You know, as you said, running the Zoom session every day is a huge task
Big,
in itself.
big thing. Yeah.
Yeah, we have seen how we do your congress and the seminars
I know
annually. So,
the problems I'm facing when I organize a seminar every year. And not only this, and we should support and I mean, give confidence to other homeopathic doctors. We should not be loudspeaker talking about homeopathy, not giving chance to anyone. I give chance to everyone. Sometimes I give my lecture to other doctors coming from India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, or anywhere. I say let them say something about homeopathy. So thank you everyone. I hope you continue well. I will keep watching you what is happening there. Thank you, Dr. Padma, and
yes,
welcome,
sir.
Dr. Nikunj Trivedi. He is one of my best staff. I mean, he's the student with the Hahnemann College Homeopathy, Director of Education, and he's very honest and hardworking doctor. I always admire him. I think he's listening what I'm saying.
Yes. We all are great admirers of Dr. Nikunj
Very
Trivedi.
hardworking,
Yes.
very scientific and professional.
That's a very important thing, and
Thank
that's
you.
what holds him away from the other crowd. You know, he has got scientific explanations, pathological details are ready with him. He is at par with the allopathic science. So I would shortly introduce you all to Dr. Nikunj. Dr. Nikunj Trivedi was basically born in Gujarat, and now he is here in England. He is done his graduation from Gujarat Medical College, and he was a gold medalist then. Followed by that, he came here and he completed his PG home, and he also a fellowship with HMA UK, and also a fellowship with the British Institute of Homeopathy. He is here since 1980 and sorry, no, since 2004. And with this, his vast clinical, he was been qualified with more experience into gynecology. And here with this experience, he's practicing infertility, mainly covering both male and female problems. Back in India, he invented a technique to open a blocked fallopian tube with intrauterine use of homeopathic remedies. He opened significant numbers of blocked tubes successfully. He also worked with sperm abnormalities. He potentized L-arginine to correct the sperm abnormalities, which has helped many patients to improve their sperm count and the acrosomal activity. Also, he's working on the oxidative stress in semen. This is the underlying cause of the DNA. He's also worked with the eosinophilia, considering the great obstacles to cure in mainly clinical conditions. He migrated here in 2004, and he is regularly teaching clinical homeopathy to the homeopathic students of this country from various colleges here, like the College of Homeopathy Birmingham, Faculty of Homeopathy, College of Homeopathy here in London. He was a former faculty of Sophia School of Homeopathy, London. He also runs regular sitting in clinics for homeopathic students in UK. And he has also completed his graduation with gold medal and with PG home with honors. He has various publications on the subject of infertility, like Repertory of Infertility, Materia Medica, Sexual Disorders, Sperm Disorders, and Homeopathy, and Mind at Menopause. But that doesn't mean that he's only an infertility specialist, because today he's going to talk about neurology. And I kindly hand over the dice to you, sir. Welcome, Dr. Nikunj, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone from the different part of the world. Yes, I extend my warmest welcome to all homeopaths and friends at IFPH, International Forum for Promoting Homeopathy. And today, we are paying our tribute to our Dr. Hahnemann. No doubt it's a belated tribute because today is 11th. But today is a day of World Parkinson Day. 11th April. Dr. Hahnemann was born on 10th of April, and he has been recognized by the whole world in the same way Dr. James Parkinson was born on 11th April in London, and today we are also celebrating and remembering him as a World Parkinson Day. And I would like to share information about the Parkinson. And information about how homeopathy is working on Parkinson's disease. I am treating, still that patient is under my treatment. I am successfully treating that patient. Patient is progressing very well. But before we apply our homeopathic knowledge, if we apply all the medical knowledge to that patient to get the right remedy, to get the right cure. So now, may I request you to share my screen with you?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You can share your screen.
Because it becomes a bit more interactive and more interesting for everyone.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So neurology is a very wide subject. And
so we have not got your screen, sir.
yeah, just I'm opening it.
Okay, okay.
Okay.
Yes, sir. It's visible now.
Okay. Because today the internet is a bit slow. I don't know why. Yes. So homeopathy and neurology is a very interesting subject and very interesting to treat such type of patients for me as well. During my student life, when I was studying my physiology, even initially for the first 2 years, we have to study anatomy and physiology thoroughly. And neurology was the one of my favorite subjects during my course of study for initial 2 years. And we are paying, before I start my presentation, we are paying our tribute to our Dr. Samuel Hahnemann on the World Homeopathy Day and Dr. James Parkinson for remembering him on World Parkinson Day. For Dr. Hahnemann, we must say that our salute, our tribute, our honor, our respect, our gratitude, and our mercy to Dr. Hahnemann. Because of him, we are earning our bread and butter, and we are earning our fame as well. So we always remember and we always pay our tribute in each and every part of the globe. As today is a day of World Parkinson Day, our homage, tribute, and honor to Dr. James Parkinson, who was born on April 11th, 1755. The same year Hahnemann was born. But Hahnemann lived for 89 years, and Dr. James Parkinson, he left a bit earlier. The Parkinson disease was first described by Dr. James Parkinson in 1817 as an essay on the shaking palsy. He was an English physician, geologist, paleontologist, and political activist. He is the most famous for his 1817 work, Essay on the Shaking Palsy. And you will be able to see its essay on the Google. And the way he has described it, it's marvelous. So James Parkinson was born in Shoreditch, London, England, and he described Parkinson's disease as a shaking palsy. He wrote an essay. So now coming to the neurology, Parkinson is a disease of the neurology, and neurology is a branch of the medicine dealing with the disorder of the nervous system, involving central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. Any disorder occurs, this system is termed as a neurological disorder. any structural, biochemical, electrical abnormalities either in the brain, spinal cord, or in any nerve can result in a range and variety of subjective and objective symptoms, and that we have to observe. And we have to ask the patient to get the subjective symptoms. What are the common symptoms of neurological disorder? When patient comes to us, we have to identify that patient is falling in which category, whether patient is a neurological disorder, whether patient is a digestive disorder, whether patient has a respiratory disorder. That can be concluded after clinical examination, after asking certain questions. We call that thing as a history taking. The group of example of symptoms includes paralysis, muscle weakness, poor coordination, loss of sensation, seizures, convulsions, confusion, pain, and altered level of consciousness. These are the very, very common symptoms of neurological disorder. And we have to take each and every symptom into consideration for diagnosing the condition as well as to select the right remedy. And we are going to discuss today's discussion is a paralysis agitans or Parkinson disease. Paralysis. The word comes from the Greek. Para means besides, and that's why we call the parallel. Para means besides, by, and lysis means losing. So this word has come from the Greek, and when we are losing the strength, when we are losing the muscle, wasting is there, atrophy is there, and there is no function being performed by the organ, we call that thing as a paralysis. Parkinson is a neurodegenerative disorder. In the brain, the basal ganglia, the substantia nigra, both are no longer producing dopamine. There is a limbic system. In that, the basal ganglia, the putamen, caudate nucleus, everything is there. But the substantia nigra, which contains a dark pigmentation, when we are doing the dissection, and if we do the dissection of the base of the brain, with that, you will be able to see the substantia nigra, a butterfly-like structure having a black, dark pigmentation on both the sides. So in the brain, when the basal ganglia and substantia nigra are no longer producing any dopamine, which is a neurotransmitter which plays an important role in executive functions, motor control, motivations, sexual arousal, reinforcement, and reward, as well as lower level function, including lactation, sexual gratification, and nausea. Signs and symptoms of Parkinson's disease are the tremors. In the early stage of the disease, about 70% of the people experiencing a slight tremors in the hand or foot, on the sides of the body, or sometimes in the jaw or face. Usually occur at rest. It may occur at any time. It may become severe enough to interfere with the activities. It may be worsened when patient is tired, or when patient is excited, or when patient is stressed. Finger thumb rubbing, that is called the pill rolling movement, may be present, or picking the bed sheet movement. Patient is always picking the bed sheets. So now we'll discuss one case, and then again I will continue with my presentation. So with someone's recommendation, a patient, name of the patient is Mr. Singh R. Date of birth is 11th July 1956. From the Birmingham, he came to see me for the consultation. Initially, while taking a history, when I asked about that, how he is as a person to his wife described that he's a very hardworking, robust, tall, well-built, loyal, emotional, and caring person. And While looking to him, he is very tall, but little bit emaciated. He developed fine tremors in hand. He started shaking slowly. He developed a shaking, followed by a stroke. He had a stroke. And why he developed a stroke? Because he had a fall. He fell down from the staircase. With the injury, he developed a stroke. And after stroke, after recovering from the stroke, he developed a Parkinson's disease, Parkinson. So tremors increased progressively and he lost control with his grip. So when he used to hold anything in his hand, he was noticing that hands are shaking. He felt clumsy. He felt awkward. Clumsiness, awkwardness is a very good symptoms with the apis mellifica. And he was dropping the things from his hand. Tremors get aggravated with emotional excitement. Because when he came at that time, he was a bit nervous and he was very much concerned that, doctor, whatever charge you want to take from me, but get me ready, get me better soon, because I am expecting my daughter's wedding after 3 months. And I said, okay, calm down. I will do my level best for you. So this is the anticipatory fear. This is the anxiety what patient had in his mind, daughter's marriage, inability to do any work, losing the control on himself, dropping the things from the hand, and fine tremors. Now, evaluating on the neurological examination, I will explain you now that when he was feeling clumsy, dropping the things from his hand, he started crying. He was becoming emotional. He was feeling that I am of no use. And very good symptoms I have seen in Staphylococcus aureus, that Staphylococcus aureus, the common name is delphinium, violent internal anxiety. He was dreading the future. What will happen with me in future? So dread the future, anxious thoughts, and past came to him as if past were present before him. This is very, very important symptom. I highlighted that this symptom from the Staphylococcus aureus, that anxious thoughts and past came to him as if past were present before him. In terms of his mental symptoms, his mind was phlegmatic. He was quite humorous person, very nice, joking, jovial. And in that terms, I'm coming to that symptoms later, but I have kept his case with me. I told him, because I want to see the writing skill of that patient. And that condition is called the micrography. Micrography means, I'll try to show you that I told him to write something on the case paper. And he was confused that what to write. Then I said that, write I love you to your wife, because you must not have written this thing to your wife since very, very long. After your marriage, hardly you have written. And he started laughing and he wrote this. If you can see this, right? Very small handwriting. This is called the micrography, and this is a very, very important and typical symptoms of Parkinson's disease. So these are the skill of the physician, and physician should be very good observer as per the Hahnemann's aphorism, that what he has written in Organon of Medicine. Okay, now tremor gets worsened with emotional excitement, and the tremors always disappears during sleep. Patient had asymmetrical resting pill rolling movement all the time. He was doing like this. Then there is another test that is called the past pointing test. Past pointing test means you have to tell patient to keep his finger on his nose, extend the arm, again bring it back, slowly, 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 slowly like this. And if you tell patient to close your eyes and do that, patient will miss the target. It will go like this. This is called the past pointing test. This is also very, very important neurological examination with the Parkinson disease. In common, it is called the finger nose testing. But in clinical medicine, it is called the past pointing test. When patient is missing the target, normal person, normal patient is always extending the arm and always bringing the finger to the nose. But when patient having incoordination of the movement, when patient is extending the arm, bringing the finger, and it misses the target. So this is called the past pointing test or finger nose test. Okay, I advise patient to walk just to check the gait. Patient had lurching gait, shuffling gait, hesitant, difficulty in initiation. And when you tell the patient to turn, patient always scared of falling, or sometimes patient falls. While turning at some point at one corner, because I don't have very big room, so I told him that go from the reception and come back. I keep my door open. And when he tries to come back at that time, he is losing the balance. So this is very, very important. That's called the pastinating gait. Patient walks faster and faster as not to fall over. So patient becomes anxious, patient becomes apprehensive, and patient walks faster. And with that, patient feels that if I walk faster, then I will not fall. So this is about the gait. Gait is very, very important. Then lack of arm swinging. When we are walking, if you observe anyone, while walking, our arm swings a little bit in a different way. But here, with the Parkinson patient will not swing his arm. So there is lack of arm swinging, no arm movement while walking. That is called the poverty of movement. Unsteadiness. If you tell patient to stand, and when you check the patient by asking them to close the eyes, either patient having a propulsion or patient having a retropulsion, means patient either falls forward or patient falls backward. And with the face, if you observe the patient's face, patient has a mask-like face. Right now, we all are wearing masks, so we don't, means the other people, they won't see our expression. So if you clench things under your mask, no one would know. And if you laugh under your mask, nobody would know. So patient having a mask-like face, that is called the hypomimia. The clinically, it is called the hypomimia. That is called the mask-like face. There is no expression at all on the face. And patient always having a drooling of the saliva, drooling while drinking the water, drooling up some food particles while eating. So this is very, very important with the Parkinson patient. If you ask the relatives that does he drool at any time while eating, patients will say yes, the food comes out from the corner of mouth. So this is very important. And another test, when you are checking the face, eye, this is the glabella. And if we take the glabella with the hammer, patient will show Meyerson's sign. Meyerson's sign means when we are tapping, our eyes gets closed. It's a reflex mechanism. But when you stop it, then also patient continues blinking, constant blinking. That is called the Meyerson's sign. Blinking fails to cease with continuous tapping. And many patients, if you hold the patient's head, so patient won't be able to move the head. And if you move your finger, patient develop a nystagmus. That is called the oscillation of the eyeballs. Usually it happens with the normal people as well. If you stand on the railway platform and if you see the train is coming, your eyes will move like this. That is called the nystagmus. And with the certain neurological condition, nystagmus is very, very important to take into consideration. Speech is always slurring, unclear. Only very close to the patient can understand that what patient is telling you. Because when I was asking the patient was answering me, but in a very low tone, hypotonia, very, very low tone. Hard to understand. Patient having a very soft, faint, but unclear speech. Upper limb. This is very important. If you observe the patient sitting, arms, when you tell him to walk, you will be surprised that patient is not having an arm movement. But when patient is sitting at ease, you will be see that patient having involuntary movement, as if patient is playing a piano, playing imaginary piano, and open and close big imaginary doorknob like this. So these are very, very important things. And this is called the difficulty in pronation and supination. And to describe this condition, there is a big medical term that is called the dysdiadococognesia. Dysdiadococognesia. So these are very, very important clinical signs that we have to observe in a patient. If you tell patient to write something, there is a micrography, and very important examination is to open the button of the shirt. If you tell patient to open the button of the shirt, you can see that how clumsy he feels, how difficult he faces, and with that, you can make a picture, complete clinical picture of the Parkinson's disease. So this is all about the clinical examination and our observation. Now coming to our homeopathic part. Okay, now again, I am sharing my screen to you and we'll take it again from there. Okay, so we discussed about the tremors. Dr. Nair, it is okay? Is it okay? Screen sharing is okay?
Yes, sir. It's very, very perfect.
Okay, fine. Thank you. So tremors in the early stage of the disease, about 70% of the people experiencing a slight tremor in the hand or foot. And pill rolling movement also I described. Now rigidity. This is very, very important. Cogwheel rigidity. I have shown cogwheel over here. This is cogwheel. If you see a boat having this type of wheel and the captain is always moving that wheel, so that is called the cogwheel rigidity. So there is some pause. After movement, there is a pause. After movement, there is a pause. Lead pipe rigidity that can be observed in a legs, and clasp knife rigidity. In India, you must have seen that Rampuri Chaku, the knife, clasp knife. So it opens with 2 to 3 clicks. So that type of rigidity you will be able to see with this type of Parkinson's disease patient. Rigidity can result in a decreased range of motion. For example, a person may not swing his or her arms when walking. Rigidity can also cause pain and cramps at the muscle site, especially in the calf muscle. And it always happens at night time. Sign and symptoms of Parkinson's disease, bradykinesia, and rigidity can occur in the facial muscle, causing a mask-like expression with little or no movement of the face. The slowness and incompleteness of movement can also affect speaking and swallowing. So such type of complaint sometimes make patient to gag, patient choke. Speech or voice changes, slurring speech, slow speech, low volume voice, that what I have described just now, and changes in the facial expression, reduced ability to show facial expression, mask-like face, vacant look, unable to close mouth, unable to clench. When you ask the patient to clench the teeth, you'll be able to see that patient is unable. And on one side, you will find the drooling of the saliva. reduced rate of blinking, loss of fine motor skill, difficulty in writing, that is called the micrographia, difficulty in eating, that is called the dysphagia. And with any activity that requires small movement, patient always struggle. So this all symptoms we have seen. Patient having a dementia and confusion, patient having a sleep disturbances, variety of gastrointestinal symptoms, mainly constipation, and patient slowly losing the control over sphincter. So involuntary urination, involuntary stool is always happening at later stage. Memory difficulties and slow thinking. Patient sometimes forgets that what he wants to do. He wants to go somewhere, and patient goes somewhere else. Urinary problem, incontinence is there, fatigue is there, loss of energy. So these all are symptoms making patient feel helpless, hopeless, needy, pleady, and guilty. So in general, I have summarized some our homeopathic medicine which can be used for the Parkinson, but for this patient, I'll come to conclusion later. So alumina is a very good remedy for the paralysis of lower extremity. Argentum nitricum is a very good medicine for the post-diphtheric paralysis. Baryta carb causes paralysis by producing degeneration of the cords of blood vessel. Causticum, paralysis from exposure to cold, leading to facial paralysis that we call as a Bell's palsy. Paralysis of single parts like face, tongue, pharynx. So causticum will help on the paralysis of a single part. Coculus, paralysis in lower extremity, pain in paralyzed parts. Dulcamara is a very good medicine for the acute paralytic attack, beginning of the paralysis of the lower extremity and worse from damp, wet weather and lying on damp ground. So damp is very common in UK. Causticum. I have used the mnemonica method. Means causticum starts with the C and you will be able to see all the symptoms with the C. Causticum, Hahnemann's tinctura acris sine cali. So majority of the complaints starts with the cold, exposure to cold, catching the cold. Causticum also having a cramps, convulsion, chorea, control over the sphincter, complete loss. Complaints get worse by thinking over it. Constant fear, injurious effect of fear and vexation. Any emotional disturbances, any shock, any latent fear, like this patient, and fear about marriage of his daughter. So any fear, you can think about the causticum. Cough with the raw, soreness, musk swallowed, cold. So patient can't expect to write it out. Patient can't spit it out. So patient just swallowing back and called vocal cord paralysis causing aphonia. So this all about the causticum. Another medicine with the C, which is very helpful in Parkinson disease with the paralysis, that is called the colocynth. Citrullus colocynthis, bitter cucumber. Here, colic causing patient to bend double, chilliness associated with the neuralgia. Neuralgia is very, very important over here. Constrictions, contraction of the muscle, cramps, clamped with iron band, copious menstruation in case of female as a concomitant or as a PQRS if lady patient having a Parkinson, and cystospasm after surgery. Bladder goes in spasm after surgery. Canine hunger with beta test and cystic tumor in ovaries as a concomitant with the female patient with Parkinson condition. So this is the medicine which is of great value with the Parkinson disease, Heloderma. is a Gila monster, grass lizard found in Arizona River. And the symptoms for this haloderma is clinically, if we consider, then base of the brain affected, that is called the hypothalamus. Cerebrospinal meningitis, it can cause cerebrospinal meningitis, coldness of the limbs, arms, lower extremity, upper extremity. It also causing headache, heart failure, locomotor ataxia, neuralgia, numbness, paralysis, and ultimately paralysis agitans. That is Parkinson disease. And another medicine that also I would like to describe over here, that is called the Lolium temulantum, poison darnel or darnel graygrass. The name darnel means stupefied. Parkinson patient slowly getting confused and stupefied. They sleep majority of the time in advanced stage. If you try to wake them up, they answer your question, or if you make them to drink something, or the family members make them to eat something, they will eat again, they will go to the stupor. So the name darnel means stupefied, and the plant's will reputation is from the very ancient date for the stupefaction. And here delirium, tremens, paralysis agitans means Parkinson disease, tremors, and writer's cramp. McPhos is another medicine which is very good for the writer's cramp, those who are working long hours on the computer keyboard and those who are getting short of a writer's cramp. Lolium temulantum and the McPhos is the remedy of choice. So thank you for listening this to me, but now we are coming to the Mr. Singh. So considering, okay, now again I'll back to the screen and stop sharing. How to come to the main screen? Dr. Nair, can you please help me?
Stop share screen, stop screen, share
Yeah. Now I got, sorry.
Yes.
Okay. So,
and sir, I think accidentally you have turned off your video as well. So if you can please turn on your video.
Sure. Getting older?
Yes.
So making mistakes. Okay, so we have described the whole case of the Mr. Singh, and at last also I summarized the whole symptomatology. So in his case, as he is a very good person, very loyal, very honest, very gentle, and man of commitment. He has worked very hard, and all of a sudden he developed a condition which has put him to feel helpless, needy, pleading, guilty, and he felt that I'm of no use. So this condition has created a very big impact on his mind, and that condition we describe as a bad effect of shock. And for the bad effect of shock, you all know very well that Ignatia is the remedy of the choice. I started with the Ignatia. 1 dose every day, 10 m for 1 week. I advise him to take a bottle of water, put 4 pills in that, shake it very well, and throughout the day you drink the water from that bottle. I call that method as a water potency, to explain the patient in a better way. And I called him after 2 weeks. With my surprise, he was not allowed to come inside the consulting room. He was made to sit in a car, and the 4 family members come in my small consulting room. I said, what happened? Where is Mr. Singh? Then they told me that right now he's in the car. We don't want him to come over here. Then I said, why? What's wrong with him? Doctor, what shall I tell you? One day he completely eloped from the house. We were trying to find out in the toilet, on the backyard, in the garden. He was not there, and our car was also not there. So he took the car, he drove the car, and he went to the barber shop. I was surprised. Then, after listening this story, I told him that better you call him. And family has started scolding him in front of me. And I said, don't do that. It will again causing a sort of an impact on his mind, because he is very vulnerable with the condition, neurological condition. And he started crying over here. He wept like anything, like a small kid. He wept that I'm doing everything by my own. I'm feeling better with you, with your medicine. I drove car. Have I made any crime? And I said, no, but you should always take someone with you when you are going out. Or when you want to drive a car, you take someone just for your safety. And after that, I started with the Causticum. Still patient is taking Causticum regularly. I have also advised.
आप जरा याद दिला देंगे उनको, या फिर आप जरा बीच में बोल दीजिए सुधर.
So patient is taking Causticum 200, one dose every other day. And also I have given Zincum Metallicum, one dose every day. And patient still continues with that. Patient is completely okay. Coordination is better. Unfortunately, I tried to upload the video, but somehow or other, because of the technical difficulty, and I'm not that technically sound with this computer thing. So video turned out, instead of coming in a straight way, video was turning out. So ultimately I had to delete that. So this is the story of the Parkinson disease. If you take the observation of the patient, if you analyze the patient, if you just select the right remedy, consider the patient's pictures with the drug picture, and if you give a remedy in a right potency, you can change the patient's condition and patient can have a better life. So this is the story that I have shared you, and still patient, and not only patient, but the whole family from the Birmingham, they all are my patients.
Thank you, Dr. Trivedi. Really enjoyed. And our next speaker is ready.
Yes, and we finished on time. The UK time is on time.
Yeah.
Very right time.
Yes,
yeah, thank you.
Really enjoyed.
It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure.
Extensive information, sir. Thank you very much.
It's my pleasure.
I
And
think
that's why.
1 minute, if anyone wants to talk or any queries, just 1
Any
minute.
question? If anybody want to ask me any question, I'm here to answer your question.
Only no questions, but only appreciations. Very nice presentation, sir. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. And if we do homeopathy like this, then our conventional practitioner have no room to argue with us. No room.
Yes, of
We
course.
make them to hold their ear. See, we
Yes.
are also equally competent to treat the patients that what you are unable to treat.
More than them.
Thank you,
Yes.
Doctor.
It's my pleasure to share my views, and really I enjoy and really I appreciate all your efforts that the International Forum of Promotion of Homeopathy is doing a very big mission on Mangal, you can say.
Yeah.